If you're not generating any sales from your email marketing, it could be because you're missing a strategy. Email marketing strategy is a great buzzword, but nobody really tells you what that means. Well, in today's episode of ACC TV, I'm going to give you the 3 simple steps to creating a strategy that not only works, but helps you make changes if you need to as you're going along. If you're new to the channel, I'm Elisa Connor. I own Elisa Connor Consulting, and what I do and what I've done for the past 20 years is help small businesses simplify their marketing so that they have actionable steps that they can put into place right now and get results. If you're new to the channel, you probably don't know that I include a bonus at the end. So if you're going to stick through, so you'll want to be sure to stick through to the end so you can catch that bonus. Without further ado, let's dive in. So what is a strategy? A strategy is simply a map of what you want your marketing to do. And so step number 1 of a great strategy is you have to have a goal. If you don't have a goal set for what you're trying to accomplish with your marketing, how are you ever going to reach it? How are you going to know you reached it? And this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see entrepreneurs and small businesses make is they just start doing marketing because that's what everyone tells them they should do. But in reality, they don't ever know if it's working or they have a false sense of what's not working. And then we go into beat yourself up syndrome. Nobody wants that. And so when you set a goal and you can make it really specific based on your email campaign, or you can base it on a complete marketing campaign, when you have a goal, and I prefer a SMART goal with a few addendums. And if you're not familiar with the SMART goal, I'll get to that in just a minute. But you want to have a goal that you know when you get to the end of, say, your measurement period, 2-3 weeks, a month, the end of a new launch or a product promotion, you know whether or not you've reached your goal. So let's first talk about what is a SMART goal. A SMART goal is an acronym for different components of a goal. If you haven't heard of a SMART goal, there's some pieces of it that I really like and some pieces that I'm like, let's just let it go, people. It's too busy. So, but when you make it really specific, specific for in the SMART, means you want to reach a specific goal. So what would a specific goal for your email marketing look like? I want to have specifically my open rate to increase by 5% over a month. Or in the next quarter, I want to have, 5,000 more people added to my list, or whatever that might look like. Or you want to have this many people click on a specific link in the email by blank date. And so when you're looking at your email, it doesn't always have to be like, I want this many people to purchase. When you're looking at email, we have to look at the entire picture of what we have going on. And each step within an email or an email sequence leads people further down the sales funnel. Now, does that mean every person is going to go through the same customer journey and purchase from you? Absolutely not, because that's why a funnel looks like a funnel, an upside down triangle. We have people that will come into the funnel and maybe they'll get our freebie. And then all of a sudden they aren't opening our emails. Or if they're opening them, they're not clicking on the links. Or if they're opening them and clicking on the links, they're still not buying. But we can take the initiative as business owners and marketers to figure out where they're getting stuck. And when we set a goal and we set a specific goal, we are able to figure out where our people are, where they're getting stuck, and how we can help them move along, which leads us to the M in SMART, which is measurable, which means we have to measure what we're doing. And that's actually my third tip, which I'll get to in a minute. But then the A part of a SMART goal is attainable. And that means, is it realistic? So if you have 20 people on your email list and you want to grow to 5,000 in 2 weeks, is that attainable? It could be, but is it likely? Probably not. Unless you're going to spend a ton of money on advertising or something like that to really promote your stuff. When you're doing marketing, it takes time. And I think that is another misnomer that a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs have, is they have all these people saying, oh, you can do this and become $1 million business. Well, there are other things and factors that happen that lead to that. There's no such thing as overnight success. And if there is, then typically that success does not last. And so if you're in it to win it and long term, you want to make sure that you're investing in your marketing as you would in any other component of your business, including like tools, equipment, office space, employees, all of those things. Your marketing is one more place to invest, whether you're investing your time or your money or both. And so when you set goals, you want to make sure that they're attainable, because if not, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And then you want to give up, and you can't give up because like I said, this is a long-term game. You've got to stay in front of people up to 8 to 10 times before they ever even remember who you are or what you do. So the R, as we're going back to our SMART acronym, is, are they realistic? And that kind of goes toward the same field as attainable, in the perspective as, is it a realistic goal? Are you going to be able to increase your sales by $5 million when you're only making 20,000? Someday, but is it going to happen in the next 6 months? Probably not. It takes time to build and do that stuff. Is it impossible? Will it not happen? I can't guarantee that either. Because there are people that have done that, but you are the only person that's going to know whether that's a realistic goal for your business or not. So when we're looking at email specifically, what is a realistic goal? So you would want to break down where you are currently with your email subscribers. So say your email growth is typically 20 to 25 subscribers per week. If you are only growing 100 subscribers per month, what are you going to do, and what can you do in your strategy to increase that by, say, 10 or 15%? And I always say when people are working with me one-on-one, to set 3 goals. So you've got your middle of the road goal. Like, this is probably realistic and we can get there. And then you've got your pie in the sky goal. Like, this is what I really want it to be. And then you've got somewhere in between. So when you have those 3 levels and you set those 3 levels of goals, the opportunity or the chance that you're going to reach one of those goals significantly becomes higher because you've already set the bar. So if you're only at 100, let's say you're at 100 subscribers per month increase, and you want to increase that by 10%, that's only 10 more subscribers per month. If I'm doing my math right. I'm not a mathlete, as my kids would say, so check my math. But if your middle of the road goal is like, yeah, we want to, we're going to put a little bit more effort into it, and we're going to try and get 20 more subscribers a month. So that would be 120. So what do you need to do to reach that goal? What do you need to do to attain that goal? And then your pie in the sky goal, like, I'm all for, I want to double my subscribers. Okay, great. Set that goal. You want 200 new subscribers per month. And you're going to test it for 3 months, because sometimes you can't get momentum until you get things going. And let's say you're testing it for 3 months and you measure up, and at the end of the 3 months, you only have 280 subscribers that are, or let's see, so if you only have 580. Are you really going to be disappointed that you only got 580 instead of 600? Probably not. You're probably going to be ecstatic because you grew your list by 580 and it continues to grow. And so when we are creating a strategy, we not only need to set a goal, that's step number 1, but step number 2 is we have to start with the end in mind. So if we, for example, are sending out a sales email sequence and we don't know what we're selling at the end of the sequence, it's going to be really hard to create some momentum and build up to sell that product. And I have worked with many, many different coaches, consultants, small businesses who are like, yeah, I'm just going to start sending emails. I'm going to send out my freebie and then I'm just going to start sending emails. But there's no plan in place. And then they're not getting traction and they get frustrated and they give up. Email marketing is one of the best ways to not only grow and build relationships with your customers, but it's also the number 1 return on investment in any marketing that you can put out there. I've shared this statistic before, but it's a 40 to 100% return on investment, meaning if you put $1 in, you're going to get $42 out. And so, but that comes along with you putting in the work to set up your strategy first, which is why I'm creating this video today. So what does that mean? Start with the end in mind. Well, let's say you're not selling a product. Let's just say this is a welcome sequence and you're welcoming new subscribers and they got on your list because they downloaded your free resource. Well, we send them the free resource, and a lot of times that's where people stop. Here's your free stuff. See ya. And then they don't hear from them again until they're ready to sell something. Well, how would that make you feel? Probably like, who is this person? Why am I getting emails from them? Delete. That's typically what happens. And then those people are frustrated that they're not seeing success with their email marketing. Whereas let's take Sally. Sally sends out an email that says, hey, here's your freebie. Here's how you can start using it. Thanks for signing up. Watch your inbox because I'm going to be in there, in the near future and beyond. And then in a couple days, they get another email from Sally, and it's talking about, say, how she can relate to the problem that she usually encounters with people before they get her resource, and some things that, might throw a bump in the road that they could avoid. And then a few days later, they send another email, and then they send another email. And then ultimately, it's leading to the fourth, fifth, or sixth email where she starts to talk about how she helps people, whether that is, for example, she's a consultant, with a free 15-minute call that they can hop on. And then that's the next piece of her sales funnel. And so ultimately, she's trying to get them on a phone call. And if she backs up her email sequence with the idea that she's starting with a phone call and that's what she wants the end result to be, how can she build a path for the customer, somebody she doesn't know at all, to follow along so that they are ready to have a phone call with her, which then she can move them into a sale? And so when you start with the end in mind, it makes it so much easier to back up that email sequence and not come across salesy and slimy. And 2, become a valuable resource to your new subscriber. And 3, stay in front of them so they're like, oh yeah, I'm hearing from Sally again. That's awesome. So that is tip number 2, to start with the end in mind. Tip number 3 is to measure. And a lot of times I will work with small businesses, almost exclusively small businesses and entrepreneurs who do not measure their marketing. And this is anybody from a realtor to a business consultant to somebody that has an online course. They will just start throwing money, time, and energy at marketing and going, okay, let's see what works. And they don't measure it, so they never know if it works. So when we're looking at email marketing specifically, the things that we want to look at for analysis are these 3 things. 1, our open rate. That is how many people are opening our email and versus how many people received it. And I have some upcoming videos that are going to give you some tips on how you can increase that open rate number. So stay tuned for those. Tip number 2, or measurement number 2, is you want to look at the click-through rate. So what does that mean? It means that you include a link, specifically 1 is really the best way to go, with the next action step. So what does that look like in Sally's email sequence that we just talked about? In email number 1, that link is going to be whether or not they click to download her free resource that they signed up for. And then she may have another call to action that's like, join my Facebook group, follow me on Instagram, send me a direct message over here, or whatever it might be, whatever her next step of action is. So she would have possibly 2 links in there. Well, then she can go into her email service provider like a ConvertKit or an ActiveCampaign, and she can see how many people click to download the resource, because you would not believe how many people sign up for something and never download it. It's crazy. And then number 2, how many people clicked on the other link if she has a second link in there. And she may not have a second link. I would recommend, always adding a call to action, whether it's just grab that free resource and putting it in there twice, or what's the next step you want them to take. The third thing you want to measure is actual deliverability. And depending on which email service provider you have for this, you can go in and see, are people getting stuck somewhere? For example, have they confirmed their subscription? And there are multiple ways to do this that I'm not going to go into today, but you want to make sure that they're saying, yeah, I really do want your emails. Or are they stuck somewhere? Or are their emails bouncing? Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about that, except if you actually know the person and you can say, hey, by the way, your emails aren't getting to you because they're getting stuck by your spam filter. There are some things you can do to protect your emails from going into the spam filter proactively. And I've got a video that I can link to up here that will show you that information. And then the other component is really doing a thorough evaluation of, do you have a bunch of people on your list that signed up but aren't really doing anything? Because if they are, you probably need to do an email list cleanup. because they aren't getting your emails, they aren't opening them, and ultimately they're just taking up space on your list and they're hurting your overall deliverability factor with your email service provider and other email service engines. So those are the 3 things you want to measure. I did promise you a bonus if you stuck with me till the end. So number 1, if you're still here, thank you. And number 2, if you've enjoyed this video, I would really love it if you'd give it a thumbs up and like the video. It really helps me out a lot. So let's dive into the bonus. This is something that a lot of people overlook because they are doing a lot of guesswork, and there's always a lot of testing and trying when you're doing things. Specifically, we're going to talk about email marketing. One of the best ways you can measure whether or not your email marketing is working is by asking your people. Sending out a survey within email, or specifically if someone purchases, hop on a phone call and say, hey, what was the thing that really pushed you over the edge? Was there something of value that you got from a social media post, that you got from my emails, that you got from a training I did? Because when you gather that specific information, especially if you're a smaller business and you can just start to gather it and stick it in a Microsoft Word document or an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, you're going to start to gather trends. And then it's going to help you determine where you should take your strategy next. So that's it for today. As a recap, the 3 things you can do to create a strategy. Number 1, you've got to have a goal. If you don't have a goal, you don't know what you're aiming for. Number 2, you have got to have a way. You've got to work your way backwards. If you're trying to sell people or move people in a certain direction and you don't know what that direction is, you're going to have a really hard time moving them in that direction. So start with the end goal in mind, whatever it is. Purchase, signing up for a call, enrolling in your course, signing up for a webinar, whatever goal it is, you can't measure it and you can't lead people to it if you don't have a path and you don't know where you're going. And then the third tip that you can to create a really good winning email marketing strategy is you have to measure and tweak. Now I want to add in here something that just came into my head that I meant to add earlier and I forgot, but that is, when you're changing things as you're measuring, as you're tweaking things, don't tweak a bunch of stuff at one time. Tweak one thing, test it out a little bit more. If you're still not seeing the results you want, tweak one more thing. But when you change a bunch of stuff at once, you don't know what's working and what's not working. So it's better if you only change one thing at a time and then you go, okay, well, that didn't work, and you can change it back and then change something else and then test it some more. So that's what I have for you today. Thanks so much for sticking with me through the end. And if you have any questions or suggestions, please leave it in the comments below. I read and answer every single one. And I will see you next week with more marketing tips. And in the meantime, be well, stay safe, and take care.